We're used to hearing that military technology always moves forward. Radar improves, missiles become more precise, communication gets faster, clearer, more reliable. It feels like progress only goes in one direction. But in the early 1960s, the US military poured millions of dollars into a technology it believed would change warfare forever. And it didn't just fall short, it failed completely. Quietly abandoned, rarely mentioned, almost forgotten. The idea was artificial intelligence. Most people imagine technological progress as a straight line. An invention appears, it improves, it matures, and eventually it succeeds. That story is comforting. It suggests that every experiment brings us closer to the goal. History tells a different story. For every breakthrough, there are dozens of dead ends. Projects that gathered brilliant minds, consumed massive resources, and delivered nothing usable. Early military AI was one of those projects. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the United States faced a growing strategic problem. The Cold War was accelerating. The Soviet nuclear arsenal was expanding. Intelligence data was exploding in volume. Satellite imagery, radar tracking, intercepted communications. Reports arrived faster than humans could read them. Military planners realized something unsettling. Future conflicts might be decided in minutes, not hours. Whoever could process information faster and make decisions under pressure would hold the advantage. Artificial intelligence seemed like the solution. If machines could reason, recognize patterns, and evaluate options, they could become the ultimate decision support system, not replacing commanders, but amplifying them, giving human judgment speed and clarity beyond natural limits. At least that was the theory. The military began funding what they called intelligent systems. These were not modern machine learning models. They were rule-based programs designed to mimic human reasoning step by step. Some could play chess, others proved mathematical theorems or solved logic puzzles. The military wanted to take those abilities and apply them to war. Programs that could analyze enemy movements, systems that could predict attack patterns, software that could recommend tactical responses. Some projects focused on language translation, trying to decode Soviet communications in real time. Others experimented with image recognition, attempting to identify military installations from aerial photographs. The ambition was enormous, the funding generous, expectations unrealistically high. On paper, it all made sense. Imagine a system that could digest thousands of intelligence reports overnight and present commanders with a clear picture. Imagine software that could simulate hundreds of battle scenarios and highlight the best option. Machines that never tired, never panicked, never let emotion interfere. Early computers had already proven they could calculate missile trajectories in seconds. So why not strategy? Why not judgment? The logic was sound, the execution was not. The first problem was power. Computers of the early 1960s were extraordinarily limited. Even the most advanced military systems had less processing power than a modern calculator. They worked well with clean rules and structured problems. Warfare had neither. Real conflict is chaotic. Variables multiply. Context changes. Information contradicts itself. The logical trees that worked in laboratories collapsed in the real world. Then came the data problem. Artificial intelligence depends on accurate, consistent information. Cold War intelligence was fragmented, incomplete, and often wrong. Machines trained on unreliable data produced unreliable conclusions. Garbage in, garbage out. But the deepest mistake was human. Researchers had overestimated what machines could do and underestimated what humans do naturally. Pattern recognition, contextual understanding, intuition. These weren't just calculations. They were cognitive skills shaped by experience and evolution. Teaching a computer to think like a human turned out to be far harder than anyone expected. By the mid-1960s, enthusiasm faded. Projects stalled. Budgets were cut. Systems promised for years never materialized. The word intelligence itself became uncomfortable in technical circles. Too ambitious, too vague, too tied to disappointment. This moment became known as the first AI winter. Progress slowed. Optimism disappeared. Not just in the military, but across academic research as well. The dream of thinking machines had collided with reality. But the failure wasn't total. What survived was a quieter insight. Machines didn't need to think like humans. They just needed to do specific tasks well. Data processing, statistical analysis, simulation, pattern filtering.
Instead of replacing human judgment, computers would support it. This shift changed everything. Humans made decisions, machines handled volume, analysts interpreted results, computers surfaced patterns, commanders tested strategies in simulations, but trusted experience to make the final call. The partnership worked precisely because neither side tried to do everything alone. That lesson still matters. Failure is not the opposite of progress. It is part of it. Every ambitious project that collapses reveals limits, boundaries, and reality. The researchers who built those early systems weren't naive. They were exploring unknown territory. Some paths were always going to lead nowhere. Today, artificial intelligence is embedded throughout the military, guiding missiles, analyzing satellite imagery, coordinating logistics. The vision that failed in the 1960s eventually succeeded, but only after expectations changed. Machines didn't become human thinkers. They became powerful tools. The first attempt failed completely, and in failing, it taught the lesson that made future success possible. Sometimes progress doesn't come from pushing forward. Sometimes it comes from discovering, clearly and decisively, what doesn't work.